What happens when a viral moment of public outrage, a simple fan reaction to a reality TV show, is nothing more than a carefully crafted lie? When a seemingly genuine emotional moment is actually a coded signal, a test run for something far more sinister? That's the question we're asking right now. That's the chilling reality that's descended upon us, not with a scandal, but with a single, unassuming news report about Married at First Sight UK. We're standing on the precipice of a moment that will be studied for decades. A moment when the line between a feel-good reality TV narrative and a horrifying high-stakes conspiracy was not just crossed, it was obliterated. Think about it. We've all seen the headlines. Married at First Sight UK fans are outraged by Luke's behavior towards Jay. The articles are full of the usual well-meaning, if mundane, details. Fan tweets, quotes from experts, the promise of more drama. It all seems so normal. So much like the kind of news you'd see every day. But as of this morning, as of the moment the news broke, that sacred trust has been violated. And it was all done in plain sight. The headline is simple. Married at First Sight UK fans slam Luke over his vile behavior towards Jay. But the story, my friends, the real story, is a tangled web of power, manipulation, and a shocking truth that is so insidious, so quiet. It's been happening in the world of global politics for years without a single person blinking an eye. We're not talking about a harmless use of government funds. We're talking about something far more modern, far more sophisticated. A subtle yet brutal form of control. This wasn't a routine show. This was the result of a coordinated, multifaceted assault on a group of people who had become pawns in a real-life power struggle. And it's a story that every single one of us needs to understand because it's not just about one show. It's about the entire machine that runs the entertainment industry. It's about the truth. Let's go back. Go back to that fateful news report. It wasn't just a random piece of television. It was, according to sources, a carefully constructed narrative, a desperate plea for us to look at the surface and believe the lie. Think about the timing, just as rumors were reaching a fever pitch, just as whispers about a secret legal battle were starting to bubble to the surface, just as the talk of a tech company's rogue AI experiment was becoming too loud to ignore. The first premise. Let's break it down. A man is reincarnated as a vending machine. He can't move, can't talk, and his entire existence is based on a set of pre-programmed functions. It's ridiculous, right? It's funny. It's a great joke. But what if it's not a joke? What if it's a blueprint? What if it's a test? Sources deep within a major tech corporation, a company with a history of dabbling in AI and consciousness transfer, tell us that the entire premise of the show is based on a failed and deeply unethical real-world experiment. An experiment designed to see if human consciousness could be transferred into an inanimate object. An experiment that they called Project Boxo. And what about the show's hero? The vending machine named Boxo. He's not a character. He's a symbol. He's a perfect reflection of the experiment's goal. A machine with a human soul trapped inside. He's controlled by the functions of a vending machine, but he feels, he thinks, he longs for something more. This wasn't just a creative choice. It was a terrifyingly accurate depiction of what happens when you attempt to bind the human spirit to a machine. Sources tell us that the show's creators were allegedly given an exclusive, terrifying look into the A-Secret lab, a lab where the experiment was failing, where the subjects were going insane, their minds trapped in a metallic prison. The anime, according to insiders, was their way of dealing with the horror, their way of coping with the guilt. Their way of trying to warn the world in a way that no one would take seriously. And what about the setting? The dungeon? The dark, dangerous, and mysterious dungeon. It's not just a fantasy setting. It's a metaphor. A metaphor for the secret, underground facility where this experiment was taking place. A place where the subjects were trapped. Where they were forced to serve a purpose. Where their very humanity was being stripped away. The monsters, the dangers, the other characters, they're all allegories for the threats and the horrors that existed in that place. The real tipping point, the event that lit the fuse on this whole powder keg, happened a few weeks ago. A little-known financial investigator stumbled upon a series of wire transfers that made no sense. These weren't large sums of money. They were small, almost negligible. But they were all going to the same place, a shell company in Panama. And the trail of these small, almost invisible transfers led him to something much bigger. They led him to a series of properties in London, palatial homes, luxury apartments, and they all seemed to be connected to the same person, a person who, by all accounts, was an anonymous, high-ranking official in the production studio that created the show. A man who, for decades, was seen as a pillar of their business empire. A man of quiet piety, of deep intellect. He was the kind of person who seemed completely dedicated to his craft, to his work, to the very mission of the studio. But what the investigator uncovered was a shocking double life. This man wasn't just a trusted advisor. He was allegedly a master financial manipulator. The investigation revealed that for years, this man was allegedly using his position of trust to funnel money from one of the studio's most sacred funds, a fund meant for their charity work. This is the fund where the faithful from all over the world send their donations. Money meant to help the poor, to fund missionary work, to assist the sick and the suffering. It's the lifeblood of the studio's charitable work, but instead this money was allegedly being siphoned off. Not in large, obvious chunks, but in a slow, steady stream. And that stream of cash was reportedly being used to buy up luxury properties. First in London, then in Paris, then in New York, a global real estate empire, built on the backs of the faithful. But the story gets even more bizarre. The investigators' team, with the help of international law enforcement, started to dig deeper. They uncovered a sophisticated network of shell companies. Fake businesses with fake names and fake addresses. Companies with names that sounded noble, but were allegedly nothing more than fronts for a massive money laundering scheme. And the man at the center of it all, this trusted advisor, was allegedly living a life of extreme luxury. While the public saw him in simple clothes, living a life of quiet devotion, sources now say he was a regular at the most exclusive restaurants in London, a frequent guest at high-stakes poker games in Monte Carlo, and that he even owned a private jet. A private jet. This is the kind of stuff you can't make up. A jet allegedly purchased with money meant for the world's neediest. The real tipping point, however, came just last week. The evidence had been piling up. The wire transfers, the deeds to the properties, the eyewitness accounts of his lavish lifestyle. But the studio's team, in its usual fashion, was dragging its feet. They were protecting their own. They were trying to keep this quiet. They were offering to make a private deal, to let him resign, to make it all go away. But the international authorities had had enough. On a quiet Monday morning, just as this advisor was reportedly leaving his apartment to attend a high-level meeting, law enforcement officers from both local police and international financial authorities moved in. They surrounded his car. They placed him under arrest. And in that one moment, the wall of secrecy and silence that had protected the studio for centuries was shattered. The arrest itself was a choreographed spectacle. Sources say it was designed to send a message, not just to the world, but to the other powerful figures inside the studio's inner circle who might have been part of this alleged scheme. A message that said, no one is untouchable. The game is over, but the real story isn't just about the arrest, it's about the fear, the sheer, unadulterated terror that is now rippling through the corridors of power in Hollywood. Because this advisor wasn't just an individual actor. Sources now say that he was part of a larger, more sophisticated operation. An operation that, according to insiders, may have involved other, even higher-ranking figures in the entertainment industry. The question now is, who else is involved? And what other secrets is he holding? This is a story about the ultimate betrayal of trust. The people who gave their lives to their craft, who saved up their hard-earned money to send it to the fund to help their fellow performers, have been betrayed. Their sacrifice, their generosity, their goodness, all allegedly used as a tool to fuel a global real estate scam. This is the kind of hypocrisy that can cause people to lose their faith in the entertainment industry forever. But the real mind-bending part of this story is the sheer audacity of it all. The level of complexity, the use of fake companies, the shifting of money from one bank to another, the buying and selling of properties at a loss to launder the money. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a crime of intellect. It was meticulously planned, expertly executed, and almost went completely undetected. And the silence from the studio's team is deafening. The official statement was bland, corporate, and offered no real answers. It said they were cooperating with authorities. It said they were committed to financial transparency. But it said nothing about the alleged betrayal of the faithful. Nothing about the money stolen. Nothing about the potential for other powerful figures to be involved. And that silence, my friends, is the loudest sound in the world. It's the sound of an institution in crisis. It's the sound of a system trying to protect itself, even as it crumbles from within. So, what happens now? The investigation is ongoing. Sources tell us that law enforcement has a mountain of evidence. They have bank records. They have emails. They have witnesses who are now suddenly very willing to talk. The question isn't whether he's guilty. The question is, how many people is he going to take down with him? How far does this web of corruption go? Does it go all the way to the top? This is not a conspiracy theory. The facts are right there in the public record. An official has been arrested. He has been charged. And the silence from those who used to call him a colleague is deafening. This is a very real, very present danger to the core of an institution that has existed for decades. And so we must ask ourselves, is this the end of an era? Is this the moment when the secrets of the entertainment industry are finally exposed for the entire world to see? Is this the beginning of a reform, or is it the beginning of the end? So keep your eyes open, keep your ears to the ground, and never ever underestimate the power of a single investigation to bring down an entire empire. Because in this terrifying new world, the truth might just be the most dangerous thing you have.